Hi, good day everyone, and welcome again to our next discussion, next topic for today's discussion. So, our topic this time is all about, yes, the role of assessment in the teaching learning process and instructional decision making. So, we all know that assessment is an integral part of instruction as it determines whether or not the goals of educations are being met. So, assessments are the tools and methods educators use to what students know and are able to do. Assessment affects always the decisions about grades, placement, advancement, instruction, and curriculum. Take a look at that. A teacher always makes plan, and that plan that he made is based on assessment. The plan or decision that he made is based on assessment. Take a look at that. So this is now the role of assessment, from making grade, placement of students, advancement of instruction, and a revision of curriculum. So you will find there that whatever you do or whatever you think, you will find ways that assessment touches your process, making you change something or improve something in the lives of your students. So here is now the importance of assessment. So take a look at on the right, we have here the model or diagram. So it is a education triad. So it started with a formulation of goals or objective. So goal is a narrow statement that is sometimes vague and bigger. Sometimes it cannot be attained in a single year, on a single session, because it's wide and general. However, when you talk about objective, it's specific, it's smart and measurable. Of course, we can finish this in a single period of time, or even just in 1 hour, just like in lesson. We are setting our objective, and it is always at the first or the beginning of every session. At the bottom side, we have preparation of teaching strategy. Strategy or method of a teacher must be in connection with the objective set at the first time. So kung anong himuhimuon must be based kung ano ang objective. Here in making objective in the chapter 3, we are going in chapter 2 we are going to talk about the different verbs related to the construction of an outcome. So you will learn there the different words related on how to construct an outcomes, and that verb will become the basis of your activity also to be given to your students as your strategy, right? So there should be a connection between the objective and strategy. Here comes now the evaluation, or what we call assessment. So assessment is done after the strategy or giving of an instruction. So whatever they have done will be measured during the assessment. And of course, when you assess or when you evaluate students' performance, you have also to base it from the goals or from the objectives that has been set. Of course, there are students sometimes who is complaining or are complaining about that, saying that the tests has not been taken, or the test has not been discussed in the class. So that is now already a problem in which we don't have any connection between the strategy or the method used by the teacher, or the activity used by the teacher, and the assessment given by the teacher. So ginhatag mo nga test is different from sa diin sa imo gitudlo, right? So it's a problem when you notice that your students got low on their test because there's no connection at all, right? So make sure when you're going to have your class, the objective, the strategy, and the assessment or evaluation must be aligned or connected. Double check always. Always look or go back to the objective if you missed something. If you observe that you are going away or you are deviating from what you have set in your objective, then you can start again. You can think of a strategy or activity that will be connected to your objective. Actually, there are a lot of strategies if you are going to search in the internet, and will also help you improve your teaching process, right? That's it. So here is now a role of assessment in making instructional decision. Always remember that a teacher is always a teacher, and he is in charge in the classroom. He is the second parent of the student. So he always made a decision. So decision is made by the teachers and administrator. So let's talk now kung sa diin yung mga parte ginagamit ining assessment sa pag-decide. Okay? Paano siya makarelate or makakonect. Nga ang assessment really is very important when we are going to decide. Let's talk about instruction, and it always asks a question: why or do I need to remediate, enrich, reteach, or proceed? So before you can decide, you should have a basis before you are going to make your decision. So in terms of instruction, you can only proceed if you found out that majority of your students or less of them fail or lower from your cut score in your evaluation. So evaluation result is your result or assessment result, and that means you use that in order for you to decide whether you are going to proceed or not, right? So if without that you don't have any basis at all, then you cannot decide in terms of instruction. Okay, so that is how important assessment. And in terms of placement, you always ask question: who among my students will undergo remedial class? So in this way, you always use data. Maybe you can use again assessment or test, or maybe performances of your students in order for you to decide. In terms of diagnostic, what are the strengths and weaknesses of my students? You cannot answer that yet if you don't have assessment result. You don't have any activity you have done in order to use as basis in order for you to decide. Then again, I am emphasizing that assessment is very important in making decision. In terms, even in the guidance and counseling, you as a teacher is also a guidance and counselor. What intervention measures can be considered to help students with poor academic performance or learning behavior, right? So you determine that with your record. In terms of curriculum program, is there a need to continue, discontinue, revise, or replace a curriculum or program being implemented? Of course, you can only answer that if you observe something, and the observation process that you made, the data that you have is already an assessment. In terms of administrative policy, what are the standards or requirements for admitting students into a program? If you can still remember, before you enter the school, you took entrance exam, and which priorities? Example, books, materials, equipment should be allowed in allocated with budget. So then again, if you have noticed that library materials are fewer than the number of students who used it every day, then that's the time for you to come up with a decision in terms of administrative policy. Then again, we are talking here about the importance or the role of assessment in making instructional decision, whether it is instruction, placement, diagnostic, guidance, counseling, curriculum, or administrative policy. We still use the data from assessment. Alright, so these are the roles of assessment. I just want to run through with this because we have taken this already. So number one, there should be a clear statement of the national educational goal, institution missions, and core values and progress objectives and outcomes where assessments are based. So the administration have their curriculum design and give it to us in the class, and we use this to deliver forward. Okay, they design it backward for us and we deliver it forward. We accomplish their outcomes set for us. So without us, they cannot accomplish their target, and without them we can do nothing. Yes, we don't have anything to do if they haven't give us this program, they haven't give us this curriculum, these outcomes that we are using. So it's a win-win solution that we're doing. So it always there should be a clear statement of what they want us to do. Okay, and of course assessment should be aligned with course objective. That's the discussion earlier. So assessment should be outcomes based that are focused on students' activities and experiences. Today we are talking about outcomes. We are also concerned with the process, just like an assessment, but we are more focused on outcomes. We are determining before the start of a session or before the start of an activity what will be the outcome of this, right? So we are always expecting the outcomes, and it is based on students' activity and experience. Number 4, effective assessment should employ a variety of techniques. So kaburing siguro kung pare-pareho lang tanan nga strategy ang ginhimom every day in all sections, in all your level ang ginatuduan nimo. So it's very boring. How about those who are fast enough to catch your lesson? Then they will find it boring, or they will find it not interesting in your class. So number 5, assessment should use a procedure that is fair to everybody. So procedure, we are using about the process or guide in order for us to do an assessment. So assessing our students must also use idea of multiple intelligences. Tanaw nato na kung nanubla ang strengths ng atong bata base kalabanan di sa ila mahilig magkanta, base laban di sa ila mahilig magsalaot. So then we will be using procedures that are fair. Hindi lang kanta lang tanan, hindi lang saot lang tanan, hindi lang drama lang tanan. So we will be using other activities maybe suited to most of them, or maybe you can divide them according to their strength, according to their smart capabilities. And number 6, assessment should improve the process of learning. Of course, we are doing this in order for us to improve the learning. And number 7, assessment should specify some criteria for appraising successful performance. And number 8, assessment should provide constructive, meaningful, and timely feedback that can be used by the students to progress to the next stage or level of understanding, and consequently improve their performance, right? So if we observe something to the performance of our students, let's have a timely feedback of it before it's too late. Kasi kinanglan mo na mag-intervene. Basi kung babasa mo pa hindi mo na ma-solve ang problema, or basi upabasa mo pa maglala na gid. Or if there's a need for you to provide constructive, meaningful feedback, then you have to embrace the psychology of constructivism, in which you need to provide constructive words and feedback to your student. So kung nakasala man siya, then you have to let them understand nga may sala siya, kag tagi sa sang hope gihapon nga bisan nakasala sa kinahanglan niya paghihapon mag-continue magpadayon kay tungod amo nang dapat, right? There should be a meaningful and constructive feedback to our students. Of course, this we are all doing this because we want to improve them, we want to improve ourselves as well. And 9, assessment should be valid, accurate, and reliable, right? So even in research, we are doing this. We are making validation, and of course we do reliability testing in order for us to become sure of the result that we are using. And before we make decisions, it should be accurate, it should be valid, and it should be reliable, right? So whatever as activity, the instrument that we use must always measure what it intends to measure, and the result that we get should also give the same result if we do it many times, right? So that's the reliability testing. It carries consistency of the result, right? So number 10, assessment system should be regularly reviewed and improved. Of course, even though our examination, our syllabus, we are improving it every sem in order for it to suit with the needs and challenges or capabilities with our students. And of course, different strategies are being employed by different teachers according to their observation, according to their assessment. Then again, we're talking about the role of assessment here. And the last, we're talking about the nature of assessment. Okay? So according to Miller, Lin, and Gronlund, 2009, assessment can be placed into broad categories, which are the measures of maximum performance and measures of typical performance. What's the difference between the two? Now, maximum performance measures what the learners can do and achieve when performing at the best. There are times that we really tried our best to be the first and to become competent. We practice early in the morning, we study every night, we do our best, we have a lot of trainings. And when we talk about performances, we always differ from each other, right? No matter how you tried your best, sometimes your best wasn't good enough. In a competition, all of the participants tried their best. They are using their maximum performance. They tried every means. They trained, they prayed, they do a lot of exercises to improve their performances. But only one will be declared as winner. But we can see that they have done their best, and that is already a maximum performance of a student. A test or examination can also measure maximum performance of our student, right? So they tried, they study, they review in order for them to perform better. But then again, they got what they have, right? So you did your best, but your best wasn't good enough sometimes, right? However, the typical performance measures what the learners will do or choose to do under natural conditions. This measure or more focus on personality than ability. This is the performance in which we can observe every day without any pressure, without any challenges. Students will tend to perform based on how they perform it. And this performance is a normal, and it always measures their personality and attitude, right? Rather than their ability. So normally, kung paano siya mag-carry ang self niya, amo na siya. That's the typical performance. In the morning, magbugtaw siya. Wala siya gapanghimos. Pero kung bisita sa pagbugtaya, di pa pamiot sa dayon, di ba? Sa ilabalay, wala man siya gapanghugas, wala man siya galuto. Pero pagkabas sa mga migaya daw, na-pressure siya, naghimo sa mga bagay nga hindi normal sa iya. Ito may mga wamos na. So, anong mga normal nga ginag-obra natin is a typical performance. But when we want to try our best, we want to improve it, and we tried really much in order for us to perform better, then that's maximum performance, right? So that's all maybe, and I hope you understand the lesson well using the video that I want, and I expect that you will view this video in order for you to not to forget things, because we always believe in the law of exercise that we need to practice every day. So study and have a nice day.